Hello everybody, welcome to another video with me. It's Marve from Academic. What in the world happened? Let's talk about it. Are you ready to take your English from regular boring English to fun party English? Okay, maybe not party English, but at least real natural English. Well, there is one advanced word that I'd like to share with you. It's the word happen. Today we're going to be talking about a basic way to use happen and then an advanced way to use happen. So I hope that you'll be able to integrate it in your vocabulary. It sounds like a natural native speaker. Let's start with the basic version of happen. It's simply something that occurred. If your coworker walks into the office covered in mud, you might say, "What happened?" This is a casual conversational way to say what occurred. Occurred is way too formal for daily conversations, so the word happen is perfect here. Your coworker might say, "Oh, it all happened so fast. I tripped on the sidewalk. I don't remember all of the details. I don't remember exactly what happened." Let's take a look at 3 specific situations when we often use the word happen to talk about something that occurred. Let's think about the situation that your friend just got engaged to be married. How can we use happen to talk about this? You might ask, "When did you get engaged?" And she could say, "It happened on Saturday." This is talking about a day or time. If your friend starts crying because she's so excited about her engagement, you might say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, are you okay?" And she could say, "Don't worry, it happens all the time." Again, we're talking about a time or a day. All the time. When does it happen? All the time. I guess she cries a lot. You can see in these 2 sentences that happen, or we talk about it in the past, happened. It's simply the verb of the sentence. It happened on Saturday. It happens all the time. When your friend tells you that she got engaged to the man of her dreams, she might say, "I can't believe this is really happening." We often use happen to talk about when you're questioning reality. "I can't believe this is really happening." Or maybe for you, maybe you're in love with a man who just asked your friend to marry. So you might say, "Oh no, this can't be happening." You're questioning reality. "Oh no, this can't be happening. I can't believe it." When your friend first tells you that she got engaged, she runs up to you and says, "You'll never guess what happened." We often use happen for unknown situations, especially with the word what. You'll never guess what happened. When you feel sad inside because she just got engaged to the man you love, you think, we'll just see what happens. Maybe you think that they won't actually get married. Maybe something will happen. So you're kind of thinking about an unknown thing that might happen in the future. We'll just see what happens. And then before their wedding, if that man falls in love with you and your friend says, "What happened?" You might say, "I don't know what happened." You can see in all of these situations we're using what happened to talk about something unknown. This was the basic way to use happen as something that simply occurred. The advanced way to use happen or happened is in situations where there's a coincidence. 2 things that happen at the same time by accident. Something that happens by chance. You didn't plan this. My friend used this last week because I went over to her house for dinner, and before I went over, I asked, is there anything I can bring? Maybe some drink, some dessert, a side dish, something to help her with the dinner. And so I brought some beer to her house. When I got there, her husband said, "Well, I happened to buy the same beer." He had the same beer in his hand that I had brought. He used happened to buy the same beer because he is talking about something that was an accident. We didn't plan to buy the same beer. It was a coincidence. Two things happened at the same time. I brought the same beer, he brought the same beer. So he used happened to buy the same beer. Did you notice the sentence structure? Happen to plus the infinitive. Let's look at a couple other examples. If you happen to see Joe, tell him I said hi. This means you're not planning on seeing him, but if you pass on the street or if you see each other at work, okay, tell him that I said hi if you happen to see him. Notice that the verb here, see, is not conjugated. That means the infinitive. Happen to see. I happened to be asleep when he called me. I didn't plan on being asleep when he called. This is something that was a coincidence. Two things happened at the same time by accident. I was asleep and he called. I happened to be asleep. The verb here, be, is unconjugated. The teacher happened to give us a quiz on the day that I was absent. I didn't plan on being absent on the day of the quiz. It was just a coincidence, an accident. Here we have the verbs happened to give. Give is not conjugated, it's the infinitive. The teacher happened to give us a quiz. The verb happen is conjugated in the past because this is something that happened in the past. Not now, not in the future, but it happened in the past. It occurred in the past. So make sure that the second verb is the one that's not conjugated. She happened to give us a quiz. The front door of my apartment is pretty heavy, so whenever we leave, I always tell my little brother to stay close to me. I tell him if someone happens to open the door when we're right here, it will hurt really bad. So make sure that you stay with me so that someone doesn't hit us with the door. If someone opened the door and hit us, it would be by accident. It wouldn't be on purpose or just by a coincidence. So I want to kind of warn him to stay close to me. Be careful of the door. It could open because someone might be coming through. So make sure that if someone happened to open the door, you're close to me. Before we go, I want to give you a little quiz. Can you use the correct version of happen? Make sure that you conjugate the word happen correctly. Is it happen, happens, happened, or is it happen to, happened to? Look at the full sentence and think, is it talking about something that is occurring, or is it talking about something that is a coincidence by accident? What's the verb tense should we use? Let's start with the first sentence. You'll never guess what yesterday. You'll never guess what happened yesterday. I was browsing in the local bookstore and I see Tom Cruise. I was browsing in a local bookstore and I happened to see Tom Cruise. I couldn't believe it. I thought, is this really? I couldn't believe it. I thought, is this really happening? As I was walking by, he turned towards me and smiled. As I was walking by, he happened to turn towards me and smile. Immediately, my face went red and he said, "Oh, don't worry, it all the time. It happens all the time." How did you do? Let's read the full story so that you could see all of these sentences in the correct way. You'll never guess what happened yesterday. I was browsing the local bookstore and I happened to see Tom Cruise. I couldn't believe it. I thought, is this really happening? As I walked by, he happened to turn towards me and smile. Immediately, my face went red and he said, "Oh, don't worry. That happens all the time." Now I have a question for you. What is something that happened to happen to you? Yes, we're using both versions of happen here. It means what is something that occurred to you by accident, without a plan? You might say, I happened to see Tom Cruise at the bookstore. This happened by accident. It was something that occurred to you by accident. That's it for today. Thank you so much for learning English with me, and I'll see you in the next videos. Bye!